And another great advantage of working in an interdisciplinary and collaborative arena is to actually work and participate with other galleries and gallerists and curators. Recently, we're very honored and grateful to work with groundarts.com and curator Kelly Werman, who's highlighting also the gallery, and myself as curator of the month this October and November. And also Mark Parsons, who is an artist who will also be featured on the website. And so we look forward to doing these kinds of interdisciplinary partnerships, not only with galleries, but other institutions who are interested in curatorial exchange. And another great opportunity for working collaboratively in an interdisciplinary sort of partnership is to... What happened? So thank you again for joining us at Opus Project Space, strategically located on the High Line on 26th Street between 10th and 11th Avenue, 526 West 26th Street, Studio 705. Thank you. Bye-bye. Well, let's wait. Well, what are we doing?
Oh, you're going to say.
So thank you for joining me at Opus Project Space. Please join us again. Thank you.
Okay, let's go.
Ready?
Ready? Yeah. Action. One, two, three, walk.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Favorite loss, huh?
Well, we're working on it, Ian. PR.
Yeah.
Action.
Hi, my name is Anthony Caradonna, and welcome to Opus Project Space.
Okay, stop.
Hi, my name is Anthony Caradonna. Welcome to Opus Project Space. You want to do it?
I like that. Is that okay?
Are you going to cut to this later, or are you going to do it all together?
No, it's going to be just cut from, he walked out. Is that okay that he walked out? Otherwise, he's going to walk right into the line.
Yeah, right. So the inspiration for Opus Project Space goes way back to my childhood, but really, I started out as a painter and drawing fanatic when I was a child, and had uncles who were amateur painters and always thought I'd be an artist when I grew up. However, having then spent my career as a trained architect and really understanding architecture as the mother of the arts, as it was taught to me, I was always very much interested in interdisciplinary design, interdisciplinary art, and art itself. In fact, minored a bit in art history, and I've always sort of worked outside of the normal and traditional boundaries of architecture. However, practiced architecture, interior design, product design, and at times video and some fine art installations. So it's one of the reasons and where the outgrowth and sort of organic decision to open up this project space. Secondly, the two halves of my professional life have to do with both design, the practice, and design education. And being an educator and having been an administrator and mentored many students and faculty and young people, my passion for design and for collaborative work and supporting and working in a sort of group just naturally felt correct to open a space beyond the walls of an institution and start to create a place where interdisciplinary projects with artists and designers could happen. Opus Project's curatorial mission is primarily interdisciplinary. It's an idea that art and design are very much intrinsically related, or can be more sort of closely joined. And so, like the work that you see in the gallery now, Mark Parsons' a big exhibition of prints called Contemporary Archaeology. He's a good example of someone who works both with technology that's not necessarily traditionally related to the art world, and marries that with his own background as an artist and sculptor, but also crosses the fields of painting, sculpture, and architecture and design in terms of the topics and the techniques and the areas of interest, as well as the sort of applications of the final work and the process within his own explorations. My goal, my mission, my hope is to really support young, emerging contemporary artists who are interested, especially in this crossover, art and design. The areas that design also can bring into art, such as science, computer technology, coding, information, text, and even music, is something that I hope will organically happen. Selecting artists who are interested in working and crossing outside of their own boundaries and working with other artists. And in fact, we are already slated for the January calendar of 2013 to begin to produce not only exhibitions of works exhibited on the walls, but also works that are actually constructed or created in real time in the space, and then slowly but surely fill the walls of the gallery, as well as remote works where people bring in work that's either created outside, brought here, or perhaps broadcast here or broadcast from here, as well as opportunities for artists to make installation pieces that are made particularly based on the time and space of the event of their show or their particular project. And I hope myself also to be working collaboratively with them, not only as a curator and as a supporter, but perhaps as an exhibitor and as an interdisciplinary partner in one of these projects. And I look forward to, in the future, showing you more of these artists, because they really will be exciting and unique and innovative. And I hope you'll join me for another segment. That good? Does that make sense?
Okay. Oops, wait.
So the piece that we are looking at right now is called Impulse and Adhesive. The adhesive is fairly literal. There's pieces of adhesive tape, but also literally the adhesive that brings together and binds together the whole image. What's interesting about this one is it's the most simple of traditional techniques for printmaking, in that it's called a block print. You can distinguish a block print because the ink is actually printing the block that has not been cut, and the cut lines of the plate are produced as white lines because the ink is not in the groove as in a metallic print. So this is a block print, and it's one of the easier prints to produce, and so therefore can be produced in a series. You can do 10 of these. They will not be exactly identical, but they could, with the right technique and with the right mastery, the artist could produce something that looks fairly exact, 10 prints in a row. Okay. Yeah.
We're recording one more time.
Ready? And so here we stand in front of another example of an intaglio print. We've seen the block and the intaglio on the block print previously, but I think we'll probably do this out of sequence. Start again. This print, which is called Whole by Principles, is unique in terms of the way that it's been made, and it's also one of the 3 techniques employed in the series Contemporary Archaeology by Mark Parsons. This one is a pure intaglio print. The intaglio print comes directly from the Italian, which means in the cut. And so you can see the lines that are printed from the ink that's inside the score groove of the plate, and then printed. But the process is interesting because there's a 2 or 3 step inking process, which is that the artist rolls the ink on, rubs it with a rag into the cuts, and then removes the remaining ink on the surface, not on the groove, in order to get the ink to print only from the lines, and the ink that's inside of those cuts will be printed. This is an interesting print also because it employs other kind of tricks or sort of magic techniques that the artists employ. There is a series of masking tape lines and surfaces that are applied, and if you look closely you can see that there's a kind of embossed or impressed quality to the texture of the paper itself because of that when it's pressed. But also it creates an area where the original plate is printed and an area where it's masked, where it's covered. So applying other information, another layer to the plate itself is something that's also uniquely happening here to create a kind of more iconic form, something that people are familiar with, a kind of universal, complete shape, kind of a circle of the lens that's looking at the print right here. That circle is a kind of universal, timeless geometry, center and edge, depicts a kind of world. And so we've seen the range, and we see the range of the ways that different kinds of expression, different kinds of techniques, different kinds of and quantities of information, and types of textures and expressions within that really thin flat surface of the print and that really thin flat surface of the plate, how they communicate, and the various and almost infinite ways that they can express the artist's ideas, in this case, the multiple artist and the curating and harvesting artist, Mark. I want to talk about Opus a little bit, where the idea came from.
Right.
So I'd also like to introduce you to one of these other unique prints, which is this piece is called this one is called Operate on Operating. There's some unique technical aspects to this print, as well as some more conceptual aspects of the collaborative process and the layered process of collaboration that these prints sort of record and are built up upon. If you've seen closely, and you might see in the close-up, that this is actually a block print. You see the black edge, which is printed first, and on top of that is an intaglio print from a different plate. It's very interesting, one, to talk about and to read these. It does take time in order to first focus on these pieces, because they should be understood very close up, as if you're reading a text or some kind of document or map or some kind of cartographic secret evidence that needs to be understood with time through detail. And as you pull back, one also sees a kind of order that's been accumulated by this layered harvesting of different kinds of ideas, thoughts of different people, curated, accumulated, and put into a kind of metaphysical order, if you will, into the prints. So this collaborative aspect of working with other artists is something that Mark is pursuing, that I'm also very excited about. And he's pursued it in various ways. He actually conducts collaborative drawing projects where he projects these on walls, and other artists are invited in to interpret and add more information, and then the artwork is then usually transformed into another piece, sometimes sculpture, sometimes other drawings, and sometimes other plates. The other aspect of the collaboration and the intersection of the different techniques, in fact here the intaglio print on top of the block print, is an interesting invention and makes each piece unique. It records the way a community has come together and how different thoughts coexist, and in a way don't interfere with each other. They kind of complement and build a kind of very powerful visual weave. And I think that's really what's at the heart of Mark's idea, and the heart of Mark's connecting his process and this communal process with his personal way of joining these together. And I think you can see the sort of intricacy here. It's kind of a tapestry. It has this kind of quality of a Persian rug or something that would take a much longer time to make by hand. However, produced both through current technology and through traditional